And hey there, hi there, ho there, and a gracious good Saturday morning to you. Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast, where we discuss with you the joy and excitement of U of L women's athletics. And for 1 week, we finally have some very exciting and positive, exciting things to talk about. So the gloom and doom that has taken over this show in a few weeks in the past, we'll try to abate that as much as possible today. Have some fun today. We got a full house today. We got Jeff McAdams making sure that we are on, that we're live, that we're being heard correctly, and also he types the two most important words of the show so I can start the show.
Two?
Go. Go.
That's two words?
Also,
that's one word.
Go.
Sometimes it takes two though.
True. That is true.
Go. 2 words.
Oh, you're channeling your Southern and making it multiple syllables, maybe? I don't know.
Why, yes, I am, sir. Go. G-A-U-U-A-P. No. Also, with us, Case Hoskins checking in with us from Shelbyville. Make sure and check out the Cardinal Couple article today, this Saturday article. Case does a really good things in up there about eligibility coming up that the NCAA has just recently put out their edict on, I suppose you could say. Also with us, Jared Anderson. They didn't need him to count pennies to sweep the lot or to guard the ATM with a rifle this week, so he's able to join us. And he's also got a surprise for us maybe later in the show. We'll let him do that later. I'm your show, kind of, sort of co-host, Polly. I host it along with the internet, so we have a lot of fun with that. Let's go to Case Hoskins right now. He'll give you Twitter information and discuss any type of scheduling we got. Case, it's you.
Yeah, so if we start with our Twitter accounts, you just went around the table, which was quite nice. We haven't done introductions in a while, I feel like.
That's true.
I tweet us at best case scenario, BST case scenario. Still wondering why you can't have a longer name than 15 characters. Once they extended the number of characters you could have in a tweet, it just seemed simple enough. But anyway, so that's me. Jared tweets us at Mr. Anderson Jared. Sorry, a little bit distracted by Twitter itself right now. Follow along to Jared's tweets for photographs of anything and everything, pretty much. Any recent photo shoots there, Jared?
No, not really. I took some time off from photography to help Katie get moved in and situated. There's one wedding next weekend I had already committed to back before it was postponed. So other than that, I'm kind of in like about a 3-4 week hiatus. Well, it's kind of nice, though.
So check it out in 3 to 4 weeks, and maybe Jared will have some more photos on Twitter.
Why didn't you take pictures of her moving in, Jared? Come on.
Yeah, great
man.
photo shoot opportunity. Come on.
Absolutely.
Someone had to carry the heavy stuff.
Okay. Well, you could have given her the camera, you know.
She was carrying all her clothes.
Those aren't the heavy stuff?
Surprisingly,
anyway.
No.
Jeff tweets us at Jeff McAdams and at Card Couple Radio, maybe sometime ever.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see.
If we ever have live sports again, I can tweet from, yeah.
Right. And Polly tweets us at Cardinal Couple. Flip open the schedule here, and wouldn't you know it, still blank. So that's it. That's scheduling for you.
Yep.
And for fall sports at Louisville, of course, there is a football schedule out, which is being hotly debated back and forth now about how they're going to, if they're going to, and how they're going to bring in fans for that. One of the things that haven't come out yet is any type of soccer, women's soccer schedule, or any type of field hockey schedule yet. Two sports that we try to cover.
Or volleyball.
With them. And volleyball, but volleyball has actually a kind of sort of schedule that they put out where they play Kentucky back to back. I don't know what they're going to do to change or adopt anything different on that, Jeff, but at least we have a general idea of.
Interestingly, Do you remember a couple of weeks ago we said that if you changed the calendar from all sports to football, then football populated on the calendar? That is no longer the case. So
what do you read into that?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I read anything into it other than maybe it was a weird programming quirk before and they've fixed it, or maybe it's a weird quirk now. I don't know.
Or they're secretly.
I don't want to put on my tinfoil hat. I mean, it's I got it going in my mind, but I don't think. I don't want to put on my tinfoil.
It's been a strange 2020 case.
I mean,
there you go.
I got it going in my mind, but I
don't think. Started out a little bit today and discussed. Case had the write-up for us today on the Saturday Cardinal Couple, as I mentioned earlier. Got a very nice article up there. I suggest everybody read about eligibility for all. The NCAA voting for eligibility for fall athletes. Case made some very interesting points here. Just kind of digress and review this article with us.
Yeah, so it came out yesterday. I think it was earlier this week that the advisory board voted for such a measure. But yesterday, the NCAA Board of Directors voted to approve a blanket eligibility waiver for all rostered athletes in 2020 for fall sports. And it doesn't matter how much you play, if you play at all, if you opt out, if whatever happens, you're going to get another year of eligibility. So even if those games are played in the spring, even if, football plays a 12-game schedule, it doesn't matter. They're going to get to go again, which I wrote in the article. It's kind of I don't want to be too negative about it because there's so few opportunities that we get to talk about a decent thing that the NCAA did, but they still have kind of pushed off on making sound national safety decisions, right? Like they didn't really do anything that benefits, or not benefits, it benefits people, obviously. They didn't do anything that seems like it's taking a stand for one thing or the other. They're just like, we're still not deciding anything, but here, we'll give you the most flexibility possible with these waivers. So it gives the opportunity for people to play, which is nice. It picks up that fairness issue we were talking about with players that are going to play 8 games and would have had that count as a season, so they won't have to worry about that now. But it also does still open the door for schools and conferences that are not in a safe situation, which the ACC is currently heading towards being. It's giving those schools an opportunity to say, yeah, we're still going to play. You can opt out if you want, but none of you are going to opt out, because if you opt out, then how does that look for you as a player to the coach or whatever? Let's go. It is what it is. It's good for them for making a decision they didn't have to. I wrote about that in the spring. Obviously, it would have been insane if they didn't do it. All the pressure was on it. It was kind of has to happen right now. They didn't have to make this decision. They chose to, and it will benefit athletes in mostly in non-revenue sports. So good for them.
And let's go a little further on that aspect of it. Jared, this is wonderful in a lot of ways for the athlete, right?
Yeah, you've got to look at, if you are being forced to play this 6, 8, 10 game schedule, at this point, you're just playing it as an extra experience and not getting penalized on a year of eligibility. But then you've got to also look at, I think Case made a good point, is there's a little bit of underlying pressure on there now. That what's your excuse of not playing now? That you don't have the argument of, I lost out on a year of eligibility. Now you're just sitting out because why? And there's going to be coaches out there that really don't believe that sitting out because of the fear of the pandemic are going to work. But still, there's a lot of pressure. You've got the choice now if you want to play or not, which does allow me to change my stance on fall sports now. It's like if they can follow the proper procedures, and with this new decision the NCAA has made, I will go ahead and support a fall sports season.
Jeff, of course, the big bridge that nobody's had to cross yet here in terms of all this is COVID-19.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's been that's been the background of the whole discussion, and then there's all these other facets that we've been talking about, and I think the NCAA's decision, like Jared pointed out, like Case pointed out, kind of opens up and eliminates all those other facets. Maybe not all of them, but most of them certainly. But there's still can you do this safely? Can an organization do this safely? Can a random group of people do this safely? We've seen some pretty good evidence that the answer is no to that, but that's not absolutely certain. We've also seen evidence that in certain environments you can make it work, like the WNBA bubble or NBA bubble. It's going to be a matter of how do these plans come together to make it happen. I've seen, we see on social media we see some evidence of some of the precautions that are taking. I have to laugh every time I see it. We see people out in the community saying, oh, wearing a mask lowers oxygen levels, which is nonsense, by the way, completely and utterly nonsense. It doesn't. But then I see pictures of the women's basketball team practicing and running court wearing masks, right? So, like, they're taking some good steps on this. It's just a matter of, can the overall environment be constrained enough, honestly, to be able to have the control we need on this, while the broader community and society and culture in the United States is able to reckon with this better than what we have been, to be honest.
As far as the coach's standpoint goes for fall sports, and then we'll set football off to the side right now and concentrate on the sports that we cover here. Sports like volleyball, for example, or field hockey, or women's soccer. This is actually kind of a great opportunity for coaches to be able to do some hardcore and in-depth evaluation, guys, without having it really to affect too much on any type of record or anything like that, right?
Yeah, I think we're going to see across all sports, we're going to see some weird looking lineups during different games, just as you rotate players around, because when you don't have a championship to compete for and you've got a very shortened season that really doesn't mean anything in the long run, you can just throw people out there in different positions and throw different groups of people together and see how well they play together and see how they can mesh. So for a coach, it's almost like a bunch of extra exhibitions that they're able to play.
One of the things that I would think about this, of course, though, is that if you get to the point where the campuses, wow, somebody just dropped something big there, huh? Is it thundering out of your place, Jeff? I don't know what's going on.
No, it's pretty clear. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, one of the things that you have to worry about is if the COVID hits your campus extremely hard, then all of a sudden you have to just say, okay, you have to make the decision. We have to shut it down. We're not going to be able to play you, which could affect a lot of league stuff and all that. But student athlete health, and I've even heard the term student athlete get belittled by a lot of people now, saying, oh, well, I'm not going to use that term anymore because they're the privileged few. Well, let's talk about that a little bit, though. Are they the privileged few, the student athletes on campus?
Well, I think that's clear, right? If you look at 2 ACC schools that have already opened for business, started having classes, and within a week we're like, you know what? Maybe not. But guess who didn't go home? All the football players, all the other athletes. Guess who didn't have access to all the testing and procedures and safety precautions that all the athletes have? All the other students who then had an outbreak. I mean, we've talked about it before, but the lines that have been drawn here are very clearly at odds with the NCAA's rules about preferential treatment for athletes versus other students. Hey, the UNC got away with their academic scandal with paper classes for athletes because they said, well, they were on the registry. Anybody could have taken them. So it wasn't a special benefit for the athletes, but everything else is. And that's not to say that anybody doesn't deserve, if they're going to be asked to play in this environment, obviously they should be kept safe to the most extent possible. But I can't wrap my head around how you're saying, well, we're making it as safe as possible for the athletes, but all the other people who have to come to school just so that we can justify having sports, whatever. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I just can't. I get frustrated because I have friends who are still in school, like having to go to school for what? Like, you are in college, you take online courses anyway. When you're taking some courses, you're very adept at it. There's no point to have on-person classes except that schools are trying to use it to say that's how they're justifying having sports. It has to be safe enough to open school for it to be safe enough to have sports, presumably.
Yeah, and this is a very nuanced discussion with lots of back and forths and different aspects to it. In some respects, this is not all that radically different than student athletes being on campus in summer, when they're not taking classes, but they're still on campus and have access to all the facilities, when other students at the university really don't, unless they. I mean, there are summer classes that some people take, obviously.
Unless they're paying to take the class.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So in some respects, this is a little bit analogous to that, but that also says, yeah, but this is another way that it's not there is some special privileges for athletes in the athletics program. There's trade-offs, obviously, like everything. We've talked about it a lot. We've talked about a lot of the difficulties that athletes have that regular students don't, because of dealing with the schedule and playing time and practice time and travel. So, a lot of the arguments over the years, including ones that I've made, if you squint, you kind of look at it and say, well, okay, it's coming down to a trade-offs, and this for that sort of. But does that then call into question the idea of amateurism? I think it might. I think this is a issue that has been looming over the NCAA for many, many years, and I think this situation has really brought it into crystal clear focus for a lot of people.
I wouldn't disagree with that one bit, Jeff. So I'm going to put you in Vince Tyree's chair right now. Fans in the stands for women's soccer. Which way are you going to go, Jared? Yes or no?
As of right now, I'm not letting fans at any sport.
Okay. Pretty simple. Pretty concise. Case, your thought on it, fans?
I just don't know how you justify it. I mean, you've seen people with tons of money and tons of space, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Churchill Downs, all the professional leagues, a lot of space in empty stadiums that you just can't take that risk. And I saw, I guess, going around on Twitter earlier this week, there was a high school football game. I don't remember where it was, so I do apologize. I don't have all the details.
If I remember right, was it American Forks?
Something like that.
Right.
They shut it down. Right?
Yeah,
because the AD made the good decision to stop the game and say, if you can't commit to the rules, you can leave or we won't play.
Yep.
So
I was applauding the guy. I mean, I think it's a brilliant move. Yeah.
I mean, it's great, but that's what you're going to run into. If you open seats to fans, people are going to come in. They're going to sit with their designated family members, and then they're going to look 30 feet away, see their friends, and ta-da, they've moved to sit closer to their friends. And boom, like that's just going to continue to compound. Right, that's just the way it is. People are going to want to be near other people if you give them the opportunity. So with all the other professional leagues and giant events not being open to fans, I don't see how you can justify having any fans at a college sporting event.
I'm 99% sure I know how Jeff is going to answer this. I'm not even going to go with his explanation on it. Jeff, over in Indiana, though, they're playing high school football and there are fans in the stands. What's going on here?
Wow. Now, I haven't looked, but I suspect I suspect there's some political aspects to that, sadly. I suspect there's a little bit of financial stuff, although I don't know. I can't imagine that high school football is a profitable venture, so I don't know that
Not in India.
Yeah, Texas maybe, but yeah, I think there's some political approaches to things coming into this. Some denial of reality, to be brutally honest. I'm verging on political spot here, so I'm trying to be careful, but I can't see how it's wise given the state of coronavirus spread and what we know of it, which is still evolving, of course. I particularly, I don't know. I can't see it why it makes sense to do it. I'm like the others on that. So
I can't trust any of Indiana's decision making when they opened some schools in southern Indiana and they all had coronavirus cases and they were just like, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
Let's just pretend that didn't happen. So
we shall see if Kentucky follows suits in a couple weeks here, as the Kentucky Sports Commission has said, yes, we can have these fall sports for high school kids. We'll see how that develops and see if there are fans in the stands.
Well, maybe.
We have to see if JCPS is going to agree to play.
Well, we also have to see if the state is going to allow it, because even KHSAA basically said this is contingent on the state allowing it. So,
as we've seen, Governor Andy can sometimes put the thumb down and say, no, I don't think that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Interesting times ahead to see. We'll find out. Let's take it on to some Louisville athletes who excelled on campus that are now doing big things in the WNBA. Gee, which one of the four should I start with? Let's see.
Bury the lead. Bury the lead. Come on. Dare ya.
How about Kylie? No.
Yeah.
We'll get to Kylie in a second. How about Maisha Hines-Allen? That's right. Double Mooks goes for 35 and 12 boards last night, guys. Let's kind of take this one around the circle here and see what we thought about that. Maisha Hines-Allen was the third quarter for the Mystics, even though they lost the game in overtime. It wasn't Maisha's fault. Best performance of the season, maybe the best performance, even topping anything she had in college, guys. Jared, what got into Mooks?
She just let her inner self come out there. We've seen her even at U of L and past couple of years at the WNBA. Just she can be a dominant force when she wants to, and she's the leader on this team this year. They're going to go as far as she can take them, as well as plus her supporting cast, which there hasn't been much of lately.
She could use some of that.
Yeah.
Right, but she is the go-to player on that team right now. The rest of them look to her, and she steps up when called upon.
Okay, so you look at this with 12 rebounds as well as the 35 points. She played more than 42 minutes in this game, too, which means she literally was out there during the whole game and overtime as well, the most of anybody on the team. This is a Washington team that potentially has a lot of good players coming back next year forward. Did Hines-Allen kind of put her stamp on the saying, hey, Washington goes through me? Talk about it.
When two of the players that are sitting on the bench not participating are Tina Charles and Elena Deladon. I think she's got some competition for where she wants to be on the court. She's proving that she's clearly a capable player. It gives Washington a ton of flexibility. She plays a pretty different style from the other two, and is expanding her role while playing in the center position, potentially to open herself up to be able to be on the court more in tandem positions with those players. So I don't think that once all their team is back to full strength that she's just all of a sudden the star on the team. She is a star in the WNBA and definitely the star on the team this year. And I think that's great for her after basically a slog last season. It's good to see her really starting to step out and make herself known, like we all knew she could. So I don't know that they're ready to turn the keys over yet. but she's definitely making her case for down the line, or if Washington wants to move on from one of the other players or from her, and another team pick up that opportunity. And she's definitely going to be a star, I think. I wrote today she's got the talent and determination to do it, and she's showing this season that if she's given the opportunity, she can make it happen. So whether it's with Washington down the line, or whether it's with another team because they just say that they have too much in some positions, then we'll see. But she's definitely making her case for a longer stay in the W than some may have thought previously.
And Jared, when you've got a team that could potentially have Elena De La Don and Tina Charles back next year playing for them, would Maisha's best interest be maybe to look to another team down the road? What's your thoughts?
It depends what her goal is. If she wants to be the star player on a team, then she may need to look somewhere else. But if she just wants to be part of a team that's going to go far and win the WNBA championship, she'd probably do better to go on and stay. So it really comes down to what her personal preference and goal is going to be.
Washington started so well. Unfortunately, have only got 4 wins after starting the season 3-0. Kind of tough on the Mystics right now, but they've certainly got one shining star right now we can point to and say, hey, that girl is from Louisville. Earlier in the week, Angel McCoughtry, well, she only played half the game against the Sun, but she had 14 points and 8 rebounds. Where did she find this fountain of youth, Jeff, and can we get in there?
Yeah. Well, she's been out for basically 2 years, so she's getting back into the game. You're still seeing that her minutes are maybe a little limited, which makes me wonder if maybe her condition isn't quite where it should be. But she showed that she can produce, and you got to take care of yourself. You got to stay healthy. They've got a much faster schedule this year than they have in years past, so maybe there's some limiting of some minutes to kind of help keep her healthy, which is fine. It may be a good thing to do for the long term, but she certainly showed that she can get out there and she can still play with them. There were some questions on whether she'd be able to come back at 100% after the injury she had and the time off that she had. I think she's put those to rest. You play the game, you do substitution patterns based on the situation of the game. I did not get a chance to see this game, so I don't know what the situation was, but she did a lot of production in a really short time, so I'm hoping that there was enough success that they could kind of seat her and say, hey, okay, take care of yourself a little bit.
It never hurts to have Asia Wilson and Kayla McBride on your team either.
Right.
They both had very, very good nights for the Aces, but my biggest surprise on the Aces this year is Jackie Young. Jackie Young, she was one of those Notre Dame girls that decided not to go for her senior year, went early into the WNBA, actually started last year for the Aces, and then Bill Lambier looks at her this year and goes, guess what, you're not starting. Normally that would maybe have a negative effect on a player, but Jackie Young is beginning to show, and I think is showing more than she did even last year. Boy, she's just a tough guard to stop.
Yeah, I think Jackie
Go ahead.
was one of the things that led to Muffet McGraw's downfall, right? You anticipate having her at Notre Dame for another year, and then you don't, and you're having a really bad time. I think that some people were surprised when she went early, but then obviously with her draft position, teams were more than happy to have her come out early. So she's showing that she does have the ability, and she's a extremely good player, like everyone knew. And she took the jump when she was ready. It's not something we see very often in women's basketball.
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
And certainly getting it done as the Aces hanging on to second place. Even with Seattle taking the loss, the Aces couldn't capitalize and tie them for the league lead. But they're right there. They're in second place. And then, of course, we come to the New York Liberty. Yes. If there are bright...
Join excitement. Join excitement. We need to talk about Jazz.
Yes, if there are bright spots, if we're going to keep up the joy and excitement of U of L women's athletics, yes, Jasmine Jones, thank you for jumping up and saying, "Hey, talk about me a little bit." The leading scorer the other night for them with 18 points as the Liberty took on the sky. Isn't that a metaphorical term? But fell to the sky. That didn't quite say. They fell into the sky? No, whatever.
Fell from the sky.
101. Yeah, fell out of the sky. Yeah. 101.85 Jazz getting 18 in that one also. Kylie Shook played 15 minutes for Liberty, added 6 points, had a couple of rebounds in there. A game where they ran into the Vandersloot. Jared, what's the Liberty got to do to win a game here? I mean, they've got some people out, but what do they got to do here?
They're still meshing a lot. You've got a lot of new players, and I think Case mentioned this last week about how you have a program that you were building around players like Sabrina Ionescu, who's hurt, and Aisha Dur, who's out due to illness. And when you've got some of your big-time players that you structured this team around that aren't available, then you have to find people to fill in those roles and find other players to step up and just figure things out. And that does take time.
We've seen teams who can hit the three with a good amount of consistency do fairly well in this league. Unfortunately, New York is not one of those, going just 3 for 19 from the deep.
But Kylie out there more.
Yes, indeed. And Kylie's not taking the three. Have you noticed that? In her playing time, she's down low in the post. She's working against some really, really good players, but they're not getting in there after to take that three. I agree. Go ahead and turn her loose. Let her take that three-pointer right there. You can do it. You can do it, Hopkins. You can do it.
They should trade for Maisha Hines Allen.
Yeah. So holy crap, if you'd said she would be, when she was at U of L, she said, if you'd told me she would be a great three-point shooter in the WNBA, I'd have laughed at you. But yeah, she's nailing them.
The thing is, who do the Liberty give up if they're going to go after Maisha? I don't know. That's a tough one right there. I don't know who you want to let go. And if the egos of Maisha Hines Allen and Sabrina Ionescu live together comfortably?
I think they'd go great together.
Yeah,
they'd be fine.
All right. The boys seem confident on that one, so there we go. WNBA, always fun for us to watch in any year. This year with 4 Cardinals to follow, certainly even more so. So we just got to get the Liberty in the W column again, guys. Whatever it takes.
Got to get them in the W column for the first time.
Oh, they've got to win.
Did they get a win? Did they get a win this week? Okay.
Mystics.
Okay, I missed that. Okay.
Well, this happened like 2 weeks ago.
That was earlier
Was
in
it
the
2 weeks
season.
ago?
Yeah, earlier back. Yeah.
They were winless for a while, so okay.
They were.
Yeah, I hadn't looked at standings recently.
And then they beat the Mystics.
Oh, okay. I missed that one.
That's right. Maisha was so mad about that, she went out a couple of nights later and put 35 on some poor serving opponent in Connecticut. The NBA, WNBA coming up with some more exciting games. And just to kind of briefly take you off track a little bit, in the NBA, how about Donovan Mitchell?
Holy cow!
My goodness, let's give him some love, because I know the U of L women's basketball players really admired him in his years at Louisville. What about the Mitch and the Jazz here, guys? Golly.
Dude,
I saw somebody tweeted during their first game of the series, and they said that Donovan Mitchell swings between wildly underrated and completely overrated multiple times per game. A bit of consistency issues, but he is, playing lights out. Hey, you score 57. Third most in postseason history. So
well, but I think there's some similarities here between his position and Maisha Hines Allen. He kind of needs a little bit of support there, I
think he's getting maybe more than the Mystics. The Jazz might have a little bit more than the Mystics.
I don't know, but because he put up 57 and they still lost, right?
Yeah.
He put up 63 in that game and they lost.
Yeah.
It's funny. The top 3 scoring performances in playoff history are all losses in the NBA.
No support.
Certainly hoping that he continued to keep that up with the Jazz, who aren't playing too bad as of late. We'll see how they do in the playoffs. Hey, Jared, there's some people that are doing some swimming that used to be U of L athletes. Mallory Comerford, Kelsey, Laurel, Dahlia. What's going on with them?
They're back getting ready for the next Olympics, which should hopefully be next year, depending how things go. But if we're still in the state we're in right now, the U.S. won't be competing in the Olympics with everybody else. But it is nice to see both of them. Right. So it's nice to see both of them get invited to join the national team there. We saw Kelsey Worrell Dahlia part of that swim team, even though she wasn't on the 4-person team that won the gold medal. She was an alternate, so she actually did win a gold medal back in 2016, and now we're going to see Mallory Comerford also go out for a gold medal.
And let's not forget her incredible abilities in the 100-meter butterfly either, where she took the gold, knocking out 2 Canadians. But is it too early to even think about Tokyo Olympics, guys? I mean, let's face it right now. I don't know, Jeff. You're kind of like me in this. I don't see it going down that early, but we don't know what's going to happen with the virus.
Yeah, I mean, it's been delayed until next year, so next summer. So we've got a year to get there, to get in condition to be able to do it. It's possible, right? I mean, obviously, we if we do the right things, we could get all this coronavirus stuff under control by then. But we've got to buckle down and do it. It's a great honor for these swimmers to be named to this team. Mallory and Kelsey both on the women's side. I mean, a couple of guys too, former Cardinals. One current, Nick Albiero, right? And then I don't remember who the other one was. I've forgotten. Anyway,
Zach Hartley.
Yeah. Okay, Hartley or Hart? Was it Hartung?
Zach Hartley.
Is it Lee?
Harding.
Hartley?
Harding.
I knew it wasn't right. Zach Harding. Okay.
Harding.
Yeah.
He'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get Polly there eventually.
Anyway, I mean, that's a great honor to be named, which is great in and of itself. But yeah, you want to be able to get there and actually get in the pool and swim and compete, and that's what these people they've built a lot of their lives around, and they're great folks. We've had the opportunity to interact with a few of them, and always enjoyed it. So. We wish them well. We hope that they do get that chance to compete next summer in Tokyo. So we'll see what happens. It's a great start to get there. This is obviously the one of the steps you got to take to be able to get there.
And while we're speaking of great swimmers and speaking of Louisville, let's not forget about Brooke Forty.
Yeah.
Who saw at Sacred Heart Academy here in Louisville, did so many great things in high school, and then went to a fairly average school that swims in Stanford.
Yeah.
They every once in a while they get in the water. She's also on that Olympic team, and some of the stuff that she's done is incredible. Certainly hats off to Brooke, and just a wonderful person, by the way. I had the chance to meet her a couple years ago, and I was just very impressed not only with her intelligence, but also her knowledge of other sports. Mm-hmm. She definitely doesn't like assumption, guys. I just want to leave.
Well, Sacred Heart grad, shocking.
So congratulations to all of them. Hey, Case, what did Gabby Cazellas and Amina Ekic have in common?
Top drawer really likes them.
Yes, sir, they do. What about that? Hey, Jared, what did they do?
So Gabby Cazellas was named a top 10 goalkeeper for the 2020 season by Top Drawer Soccer, and then Amina Ekic was named a top 10 midfielder for the 2020 season by Top Drawer Soccer. So 2 standout players receiving recognition that they certainly deserve.
Incredible stuff for both of them, and one of the things that we can all be very happy about is that they will all be back, hopefully for a chance to see this fall. Certainly out there. Gonzalez walked into this program and has been the starting goalkeeper for the last 3 years for the Cards. I can't think back of a goalkeeper case in women's soccer at Louisville who's been the goalkeeper for 3 straight years going into the fourth.
No, not for going into the fourth. Sorry, I was trying to think of the most recent who had been, I believe, a 3-year starter, but not a 4-year starter. She's definitely, she could be a 5-year starter. Who knows? Depends on how much buzz she gets after this year, I guess, for the NWSL, or as the Premier League has decided that American players are worth a lot of money and popularity over there. They've started buying a lot of them. So we'll see what kind of buzz she and Amina both get, and whether they'll be willing to use that additional year of eligibility that they'll both have available to them now.
Amina, of course, we all know what a prolific scorer she is, what an excellent part of the U of L offense in women's soccer is. She's a local girl, Jared. Talk a little bit about Amina.
Yeah, she comes from that other school when we're talking about high school. No, she's a DuPont
Assumption, right?
grad.
That's who we were talking about. No.
Assumption, that's right.
She's a DuPont Manual grad, which we've seen several soccer players come from DuPont Manual over the years. Some of the recent ones include the Whitfield sisters, obviously. Amina, Jolene Ballard, I believe, is from Manual. So we've got a lot that just cross the street, come on over. They do have a very solid, I guess high school considers them a girls' soccer program. So we've been blessed to have her stay local.
Absolutely so, and certainly hope that we get a chance to see her shine as well down the road. She's had her share of injuries over the years, but it looks like she's ready and raring to go out there for Karen Ferguson days, guys. Hey, Jeff, what's going on with volleyball over here? Who is Taylor Morgan, and why should we get to know her?
Taylor Morgan helped put us out of the NCAA tournament last year. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's more too. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah. No, she was she was named as the she was a middle blocker for Minnesota, who we went down to after that amazing win over Texas in the regional semifinals, but eliminated us in the Elite Eight last season. But
I believe we were heavily outblocked in that match.
Oh, yeah, yes, which is kind of a middle blockers thing. So, yeah, she's coming in. She's joining the coaching staff here at U of L as I think as a volunteer assistant was the position, right? So a chance for her to get into the coaching world and get a feel for what it's like. Be working some other job probably to support herself because it is a volunteer position. So, she's a great player, and hope that she'll turn out to be a great coach. But certainly, her experience will help us out. We've got some really great middles on our squad, and having somebody that can speak to that a little more directly would be great. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yes, indeed. Taylor Morgan had 6 blocks against us, if I remember correctly, in that Minnesota game or series that we played in the Great 8. And unfortunately, after the big showing against Texas, Louisville also played Minnesota for their final series of the tournament. Also good news for Callie McKinney. She's headed over to Bellarmine, not to play, but is signed on with the Bellarmine women's soccer coaching staff over there. Case, Callie was always so much fun to watch out there, wasn't she?
She was a really good defensive midfielder. I think she'll bring a lot to a coaching staff. She was not quite as vocal as some of the other leaders on the team, but always in command of her position, played a ton of minutes, and had a lot of presence on the field. So I think she'll bring a lot to that Bellarmine program. It'll be nice for her to get some time in the program under her belt before they actually have to start a season. She's not getting jumped straight into their first D1 season this year with the Atlantic Sun's decision to postpone competition. So some time for her to familiarize herself with the team, with the program, with the rest of the coaching staff, and try to get herself more acquainted with the coaching world, like we talked about just now, on the volleyball side, and also get the team more prepared moving forward.
Certainly another one that comes out of Karen Ferguson days rosters that has gone on to do great things. So we're certainly fired up about Callie going down Eastern Parkway a ways to be a coach over there. Gentlemen, time on the clock is showing me that it could be time for a quiz here. If you will remember back to last week, Jared was defeated, although he was an absentee, and taking this via listening in from the bank.
He didn't miss any questions, so there's no asterisk there. He didn't miss any, like being able to answer any. He got in on answers on all of them, so no asterisk.
He answered all the questions.
Right.
That voice you just heard was last week's winner, Jeff McAdams, who's going to try to actively now go up against Jared, who has no excuses this week. In today's
I've been
quiz,
studying my mascots this week.
He's been studying his mascots this week. Did he study correctly? No, he didn't. This week is going to be about ACC opponents. We know that the majority of the opponents that Louisville teams will face, at least this fall, will be from the ACC. If they do face anybody at all, we're going to assume that they're going to go ahead and face them anyway. You're playing at home. We ask 10 questions. If you get the question right, you get 10 points. Then there is a bonus at the end of the quiz. You can choose to take the bonus and get 20 points, or choose not to take the bonus, or take the bonus and miss it and lose 20 points. The bonus always a big feature in here. ACC opponents is the quiz this week, guys. We'll let Case start it out here with question number 1. If you go to North Carolina to play women's soccer, which field are you going to play on over there? Is it A, Carmichael Field, B, Fetzer Field, C, Riggs Field, or D, Spry Stadium Field? Which one of those fields would you be playing soccer on, Case? Carmichael, Fetzer, Riggs, or Spry?
I'm going to go with A.
Case is saying A, Carmichael. Jared, you go ahead and go second here.
No idea. I don't know. I'll go with Dorrance, I guess. I really don't know. Or Dorrance that's their old stadium, isn't it?
Yes.
Or is that their lacrosse stadium? I'll stick with what Case said with A.
You're going to go with Carmichael as well.
Their new stadium.
We always start the quizzes off of Jeff. Your choices are Carmichael, Fetzer, Riggs, or Spry. Where does North Carolina play that women's soccer?
I seem to remember them hosting a couple of years ago the ACC championships, and I think I remember it being Carmichael. So I'm going to go with that. I don't have a strong memory of that, but I think I do.
All three of the guys have taken Carmichael Field. All three of the guys are wrong. It is Fetzer Field. Fetzer Field. Riggs Field, of course, being at Clemson. Spry Stadium being at Wake Forest. Carmichael Field is not in existence. It's Carmichael Arena where they play basketball at NC State.
That's why I remember that name. Dang it. All right.
So I knew it wasn't Spry Stadium because I recall 2 years ago when we were playing North Carolina and watching that game on TV, and it didn't look anything like a stadium. So I figured that was not that was not the answer.
A tough first question for them. I hope you did better than these knuckleheads if you're playing at home as we go on to question number 2. Courtney Walton. We all remember Courtney. She is the recruiting operations manager for A, Clemson, B, Miami, C, Georgia Tech, or D, North Carolina State. Case, where's Courtney?
Oh, I think I remember this news. Could be wrong. I think it's GT.
He's going to say Georgia Tech. Jared, does he make any sense on this?
Yeah, I agree. I think she went there end of last year to take over with their basketball program.
Jeff, they've both gone with Georgia Tech. Is that right, or is it Clemson, Miami, or North Carolina State?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's down there with no Fortner, Georgia Tech.
They've all taken Georgia Tech, and they are all correct. Courtney down there would like to come back to Louisville someday. Obviously, she said that. I got a chance to talk to her earlier this year down at the ACC women's basketball tournament. Just a wonderful 20 minutes talking with her and saying, "Put in a pitch for me with Walls. Put in a pitch for me with Walls." So there you go. Courtney Walton, Georgia Tech recruiting operations director. All the boys got that one correct. Let's go to question number 3. Which one of these sports does Miami, Florida not participate in? I'm going to give you 4 sports here, Case. Which don't they play? Is it A, rowing, B, field hockey, C, volleyball, or D, cross country? Which one doesn't Miami do?
Field hockey.
Case is going to say field hockey on this. Jared, is that correct?
Yeah,
You got
they're not
one
one
in?
of the. Yeah, they're not one of the 7 for field hockey.
Okay. They seem pretty confident, Jeff. You agree with these guys?
I have no idea, but I was going to go with the statistics because field hockey has such a small field in the ACC. As Jared mentioned, only 7. I was thinking that as well. So
All 3 have chosen field hockey, and field hockey is the correct answer. They do not play field hockey at the Miami of Florida. Although, boy, the weather conditions would be ideal, I would think. But anyway, they just don't do that. All right. We'll go to question number 4. This time, Jared will start us out. We'll go to Jeff and then Case in our order of answering. Question number 4 for you. I'm going to mention the names Hannah Hank and Kendall Spray. Who do they play basketball for, Jared? Is it FSU, Wake Forest, Boston College, or Clemson? Hannah Hank, Kendall Spray, where do they play?
I don't really recognize the Hannah name, but the Kendall name reminded me. I felt like when we played Clemson last year, I thought Arthur had commented something about that.
Jared seems to think it's Clemson. Jeff, is he right? Or do you think it's one of these other schools?
yeah, I similarly was going to thank our friend and reader and regular contributor in the comments, Arthur, for commenting about Kendall Spray enough that name rings a bell. So yeah, Clemson.
They're both with Spray here, Case. Could it be one of these other schools here?
I seem to recall her being a pretty good 3-point shooter and puns galore with her last name. So yeah, I think it's Clemson.
All 3 of the guys think that these 2 play for Clemson. And they are correct. It is Kendall Spray and Hannah Hank coming back to play for Clemson down there. Certainly so. At least they pay attention during, the basketball season on some of the stuff that the writers. Good job, fellas. Question number 5. Let's stay on the subject of Clemson while we're at it, okay? Speaking of Clemson, they play their women's basketball games in which arena? Jared, is it A, Little John Coliseum, B, Tiger Arena, C, Watsco Center, or D, Memorial Arena? Where does Clemson play, Jared?
I remember we've had the Robin Hood reference before, so Little John.
He likes Little John. Jeff, is that right? Do they play Little John?
Yep, it's Little John. I love it as an arena name too. It's great.
They're picking on Little John here, Case. Are you going to go somewhere else?
Well,
Little Tiger, Watsco, or Memorial?
I didn't think it was Little John. I know that's where their men's team plays, but I didn't know if that's where their women's team plays. But going last has its advantages sometimes, and I hadn't picked a different name, so I'm going with that one.
They're all with Little John, and yes, they are correct. It is Little John.
I really didn't think that's where they played. But
yep, both men and women they play there.
Yes, they do. Arthur says they have the best popcorn in the ACC. I've never experienced it down there. We'll have to see sometime.
I don't think I've ever tried popcorn at the Center, so I wouldn't have anything to compare it to.
I have, and believe me, it has a bit to be desired. But anyway, enough of that. So the guys are on a streak here. Each one of them have gotten the last 3 questions correct. So let's see if we can trip them up with question number 6. Probably not, but if you met Wes Moore, you would have met A, the UNC women's basketball coach, B, the Clemson volleyball coach, C, the North Carolina State women's basketball coach, or D, the Duke field hockey coach. Which one of those is those, Jared? Which one is Wes Moore?
Wes Moore is NC State's women's basketball coach.
He says he's down there with Miss Wolf. Is he right on that, Jeff, or is it somewhere else?
I don't remember for sure, but my immediate thought as you were reading the question, and even before you mentioned the options, was NC State, so I'm going to go with it as well.
2 for 2 on NC State, Case.
Yes,
Is this correct?
Yeah.
Where else?
Westmore, NCST, WBB.
Yes, indeed. Such a delightful guy to hear in post game too. He can ramble with the best of them without anything to have a topic on. But certainly Wes is the NC State women's basketball coach. So, boy, the guys are getting good here. Let's move to question number 7 then, and we will switch the order this time. Jeff, you will start us out, followed by Case and then Jared.
Okay.
Question number 7. Which ACC field hockey program does Karen Shelton coach? Is it A, Duke, B, North Carolina, C, Wake Forest, or D, Virginia? Where's Karen Shelton, Jeff? Your choice is UNC, Clemson, NC State, or Duke.
I am gonna say.
No, wait a second. I gave you the wrong choices.
I was going to say
Say,
that's
that
the order. You
didn't
just
sound
gave.
right.
I was looking at question 6. Sorry about that. Your choices are Duke, North Carolina, Wake Forest, or Virginia. I'm sorry. Duke, North Carolina, Wake Forest, Virginia. Karen Shelton.
It's a bit of a guess. I've eliminated one in my mind, but it's a bit of a guess. I'm gonna say Virginia.
Jeff goes with Virginia. Case, which one of these 4 schools?
Yeah, I think we've mentally eliminated the same one, but I'm going to go with
Probably.
UNC.
Case thinks it's North Carolina. He says UNC. Jared, they've got 2 different answers here. Are you going to choose a third one, or do you think one of these that they picked is right? Duke, North Carolina, Wake Forest, or Virginia?
I'm deleting Duke just because
Yep.
Duke's coach used to coach at UL, so I think all 3 of us were on the same page there.
Yep.
But I'm pretty sure we talked about her enough with UNC because they won the championship either last year or 2 years ago.
2 of the guys say that it's UNC, where Karen Shelton is the head coach, and they are correct. Yeah, one of the dean of the field hockey coaches in the ACC, been there, I think, something like 30-some years or something, been there forever. And also a delightful interview, I might add, too, who I had the chance to talk with a couple years back when they were here at Traeger, and I told her, if you do one thing for me, Coach, beat Duke. And she got a big kick out of it.
Yeah.
I also told Pam Buston the same thing when she was at Duke to beat North Carolina, so they probably don't like me in those circles. Right. Let's go into question number 8 here. Question number 8 is we now have a 2-way tie for the lead with Case and Jared up there. Question number 8. Louisvillian Emily Gillespie plays field hockey for A, Duke, B, Syracuse, C, Virginia, or D, Boston College. This assumption goalkeeper plays for who? Duke, Syracuse, Virginia, or Boston College? What do you think, Jeff?
I seem to remember a big crowd at Traeger, and I think it was for the Syracuse game.
So he's going to take Syracuse. Case, is that right, or is it one of these other schools?
I have literally no idea if it's right, but it was the team that I thought of when you listed them off, so I'm also going with Syracuse.
He says Syracuse as well. Jared, both these guys are on Syracuse. Could it be Duke, Virginia, Syracuse, or Boston College?
I have no idea either. I'm trying to remember who we hosted last year. That's where I'm stuck at. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have to trust their judgment on Syracuse because I really don't have a true guess on this one.
The guys are sticking together with Syracuse. The guys are wrong, though. It's Boston College. Yep, one of the first assumption players to ever go to Boston College for anything. She's up there and is the backup goalkeeper for their field hockey team, which is not a bad field hockey team at all, fellas. Believe me.
Absolutely.
Emily Gillespie, head of assumption, now at Boston College. Question number 9 for you is this will be your final time to go first, Jeff. Then we'll switch it around. Louisville Volleyball beat all these opponents in 2019 except for A, Boston College, B, Virginia, C, Miami, or D, Syracuse.
Oh, man.
The Cards won matches against all of these except Boston College, Virginia, Miami, or Syracuse. This is right up your wheelbase, guy.
Well, yeah, I was hoping Pitt was going to be in the list. That was going to be an easy answer.
Oh wow, yeah.
Run those by me one more time. Sorry.
Boston College, Virginia, Miami, or Syracuse.
Oh dear, I'm pretty sure we beat Syracuse. I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say Boston College. I remember they surprised a lot of teams on how good they were last year.
He goes with the BC. Case, which one of these makes sense to you? Boston College, Virginia, Miami, or Syracuse?
Yeah, I recall it being a clunker early that we didn't get a chance to redeem. And my thoughts were either Boston College or Virginia. But I think we played them twice, so I'm going to go with Boston College.
He says Boston College as well, Jared. Both these guys are on Boston College. Could it be one of these other 3 schools? Virginia, Miami, or Syracuse? Or is it BC?
I was back and forth between Boston College and Virginia because I remember we beat Miami for senior day and Syracuse was part of that same little late season run. So yeah, I'll stick with Boston College there.
Yeah, and now I remember that it's wrong. It's actually Virginia because it was right after that Notre Dame match when Mel went down. Yeah.
Jeff, you came up with the right answer, but you came up with it too late.
Too late. Yep.
Sorry, guys. X on that one.
That was why I thought we played Virginia twice and beat them once. That's why I got that one wrong. Did we play Boston College twice and beat them once?
It was Boston College was a 3-2 set in favor of the Cards.
Yeah.
Only one match, though?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because Virginia was one of those. I guess it was about 5 matches that we lost right after that Notre Dame match. Yeah.
We have got ourselves one tight match here, kiddos, going into question number 10.
We beat Virginia 3-0.
Ah!
What?
Case, are you cheating?
I just looked it up. We beat Virginia 3-0 on October 25th. We lost to Virginia Tech right after the Notre Dame match. We lost to BC 2-3 on November 1st, and it was the only time we played them.
Then the answer is
we
Boston
need to revisit
College.
the question.
Well, you guys originally all said Boston College, right?
Yeah, we did.
I will change the scoring then.
We either all got it wrong or all got it right, so it didn't matter.
It was in that run. Right, okay, right. So Virginia was in that run after Notre Dame, but we did win that one. It was the other 4.
1 and 4 over the next 5 matches.
That's right.
2 and 5 over the next 7 matches. Yeah. And then we went on that little run at the end.
Yep. I do stand corrected. It is correct. I just looked at it myself. They dropped the series to Boston College 3-2.
Doesn't change our standings because we all picked the same thing. But yeah, okay.
You guys were in the same boat either way.
Right.
It wasn't early though. I was wrong about that.
Yeah.
And we didn't play Virginia twice, but
amazing. I even missed one. And I'm giving the quiz. Going to the final question of the regular round. We got two guys tied for first. Jeff, you're one back of them, so I'm going to let you start the final question here. Question number
Let
10.
me. Thanks.
Yeah, you're behind, so you get the honor and privilege
Yeah.
to go first and have the
That's
least
right.
advantage.
Yikes.
This is not golf. You do not have honors on the team. Question number 10 for you. Which of these coaches started coaching in the ACC before Jeff Walls? I'm going to give you four coaches.
Okay.
One of them was already in the ACC when Walls came in. Is it A, Wes Moore, B, Quentin Hillsman, C, Tina Thompson, or D, Kenny Brooks? Which one of these four were already in the ACC? Moore, Hillsman, Thompson, or Brooks?
I am. This is a bit of a guess, but I think it's Wes Moore.
He's going to go with A, Wes Moore. Case, four coaches there. Moore, Hillsman, Thompson, and Brooks. Which one?
Well, I feel like it's tricky because they don't necessarily have to have been at their school for longer than Jeff Walls. They just have to have been in the ACC for longer, which would be either of the two schools that were already in the ACC, or my guess, Quentin Hillsman, because Syracuse entered the ACC 1 year before Louisville.
Case is going with the Q. Two different answers here, Jared. Or one of these correct, or you got a third option? Moore, Hillsman, Thompson, or Brooks?
That's what I'm wondering, because Wes Moore would seem like an obvious answer, because, I mean, he's kind of old. Of the bunch. Sorry, I don't want to say old.
He's old.
Like,
Dang.
Yeah. Agent, Wes, you're agent.
And we just talked about Tina Thompson joining the league not too long ago, because she was in the WNBA. I mean, back when I was in college, but I'm thinking of maybe Q.
You're going to go with Q too, huh?
Either him or Kenny, but I think it's Q.
He's sticking with the Q, just like Case stuck with the Q, and you gentlemen are correct. Quentin Hillsman started in 2006 coaching Syracuse and was there when Walls came in, of course, the following year. So, there you go.
My logic was right.
Logic it is.
I knew he'd been there a while. I just couldn't remember. Yeah.
It was the tricky Syracuse entering the ACC.
Yeah.
The boys have done well, though, on this part of the quiz as we go into the bonus round. I've got a tie for first place here between Case and Jared. Jeff's two back with 4 incorrect answers. Case and Jared getting in there with only 2 incorrect answers. Your bonus question. So, since Jeff went first on the 10th question, I guess I'm going to have to let defending champion from 2 weeks ago, Jared, go first this time. Jared, are you going to take the bonus question?
Yeah, let's go for it.
He says, let's go for it. How about you, Case? Bonus?
Yeah, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
Chef, you got nothing to lose here unless these guys get it wrong, and you could conceivably tie them. Are you going to take it?
Yeah, I'll take it. Hey, if they get it wrong, you get it right. Yeah.
He's all in. Your bonus question. Which one of these former Virginia women's basketball players is now in the WNBA? Is it A, Jocelyn Willoughby, D, De'Erica Hamby, C, Carolyn Swords, or D, Kiara Leslie? Which one of these former Virginia basketball players is in the NBA? Jordan Willoughby, De'Erica Hamby, Carolyn Swords, or Kiara Leslie?
You mean Jocelyn Willoughby? You said Jordan.
Yeah, Jocelyn. I'm sorry, I can't read my own handwriting here. Jocelyn Willoughby. All right, Case. I'm giving you 4 WNBA players. Which one of them was Virginia?
Hails from Virginia. Jocelyn Willoughby.
He's going to go with Jocelyn Willoughby. Jared, what's that make any sense to you?
Yeah, she was part of that 5 rookie draft for the Liberty last year with Jazz and Kylie.
Is she a Virginia girl?
Yeah, Jocelyn Willoughby was Virginia's best player.
All right. They're saying that one. Jeff, that
Yeah.
makes it pretty simple for you. Do you think it could possibly be her?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is, which unfortunately means I'm not going to win this overall. But yeah, I think it is.
All right. Let's see if the boys are right or not.
You don't want to go with the case strategy of just
Nope.
pick something else,
Nah.
not worry about what your final score is?
No.
Dear Abby played for Wake Forest during her ACC career. Carolyn Swords was at Boston College. Kiera Leslie, of course, remember her for her brilliant, outstanding play at North Carolina. Jocelyn Willoughby is correct. That is correct, fellas of Virginia. Represented in the WNBA, hoping to carry on the tradition of Tina Thompson. So there you have it, fellas. We end up with a tie today. A tie in the quiz between Case and Jerry. Good work.
Last week's winner.
Yes, Jeff. Give us up. You're going to have to cut the toothpick bear in half.
Yeah.
Give it to these guys. But certainly a good quiz. We hope you did as well at home. If you happen to do better than them, certainly let us know in the comment section. Or you can call Jeff and nag him that he did not win again. Okay. Well, we've had a good show here, guys, so far. Let's go ahead and get into some final thoughts as we go ahead and close it out. Jeff, why don't you start us out this week?
Yeah, I would really love to see some volleyball play. I really would, but I wanted to be sure that things are done safe for the student athletes and for any fans if they are allowed there. That's just been a little bit on my mind. So I'd love to. I may go watch some old volleyball matches on YouTube or something. But I'd love to see it. But let's be safe about it.
You've got some great options out there to choose from, pal, if you do decide to do that.
Including that Minneapolis game to go check out our new volunteer assistant. So.
Yeah, possibly so. That would be a good one. If it was me, I'd probably go for that Cincinnati game.
I can't find that one. I'd love to watch it again. It was a heck of a game.
It's got to be on somewhere, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
All right, Case, what do you got for us?
Well, I was going to talk about Amina Akic and Gabby Gazelles, but we talked about that earlier, so I hadn't come up with a new final thought. Tune in DC at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Indy 500. Late August. Weird race.
Weird. Nobody.
Hilarity shall ensue because everything that you think you know about the Indy 500 based on years and years and years of experience in May is not relevant.
Yeah. No fans in the stands. Wow. Jared, what you got on board?
I'll turn mine over to Katie for my final thoughts.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
She didn't want it. She didn't want a final thought.
Throwing her out there on the spot.
She's not taking the bonus question.
She's like me. She couldn't come up with anything.
Whatever you want to talk about. I need to work on getting her a nice U of L shirt, so if anybody's willing to help us out there, we'll...
I'm just wondering if she would be able to get us a table for 4 at the Old Mill Restaurant, Jared. What do you think?
Get another, 5-hour drive going. We can make it happen.
The scariest dining experiences I've had this year. Final thoughts out of me. I'm going to go with I'm very proud of you, my shines, Alan, for what you did last night. Just an incredible effort out of you. All the hard work, all the patience, all the times when that you thought maybe, you just didn't know what was going to happen for you. You stuck with it. And it really, really blossomed for you last night. So keep it up, Mooks. I'm cheering for you.
Yeah.
Keep going. All right. A great show, Katie. Sing us one of your favorite songs to close out the show, would you?
She already hopped off. She left.
Well, I guess it's up to me then to say goodnight to everybody, even though it's noon. And I'm going back to sleep for a while. The allergies have gotten the best of me, kids. But all right, Jeff, get us out of here.
All right. Thank you all.